Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. This is our Bitcoin morning update. So yeah, you guys in the UK, and obviously if you've probably heard the news that we are having a nice lovely 4-week lockdown. So all I can say, guys, is just make the most of the muscles and the nice skin fade, because obviously gyms and hairdressers are going to be shut. So I may end up looking a bit worse for wear over the next few weeks. Maybe we'll see what happens. But yeah, so anyway, let's talk about Bitcoin. If you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, and we will go straight over to those charts. So as you guys know, yesterday morning I was looking at a potential rising wedge or channel, and it does appear it is maybe more of a channel. So what we will do to the top side, if I can grab the top bar, is we'll just move that along there. So then it does basically looks like a channel, and we will draw the bottom side along here. So I mean, I did say at the time it looked like it could be a wedge or a channel. We drew the wedge in. It appears it is a channel. So yeah, we've got to watch that. Obviously, rising channels or rising wedges, either way, they are bearish formations, and we are at the bottom of it at the moment. We're at the bottom of the channel after being rejected by overhead resistance and sitting under overhead resistance. Yeah, potentially we have got to make a move back up to the top end of the channel, which would actually get us clear through my resistance zone we've got drawn in. So that would obviously be incredibly bullish, or we are gonna drop out the channel, and then, well, here's our target around the low 13Ks. So that is what I am looking at here. It is pretty textbook weekend price action that you guys know we're talking about on Friday evening, just ranging basically, and I did say we had an upward bias, so I was looking at a push up and then eventually just come back down to where we were, which is basically what has happened at the moment. Obviously it's still only Sunday morning here in the UK, so obviously we've got time for more shenanigans in the price action, so we could have another pump up and then obviously have a big gap in the CMEs. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But one thing we've got to keep an eye on: weekend Wall Street down 1%. So that is not ideal. Obviously they painted the charts into the close, and they weren't able to. Obviously over the weekend people are predicting a lower price at the open. So I mean, I was pretty confident stimulus was coming, but it appears now it isn't. Thanks Nancy. So yeah, I mean, at least I'm over here in the UK and I'm not in America, and I probably wasn't relying, I wasn't relying on a check from the American government here in the UK, but lots of Americans were, and it was obviously going to stimulate markets. But like I have said, that more professionally traded markets, so not Bitcoin altcoins, and not necessarily Tesla calls, are traded by people that understand and have a longer term horizon and are not relying on a check from the government to trade. So those markets are actually potentially going to indicate more stimulus in the future, more stimulus whenever it does come, because if we didn't get it now, we're probably going to need more later, or probably going to get more later anyway. So yeah, that is the stimulus wise. Not much else to talk about here on Bitcoin. We'll have a look at the stochastics, but I suspect they're going to be giving us a bit of a downward bias. But we'll have a look anyway. 4 hour, yeah, you can see 4 hour turning down, got us that nice move up. Now it's looking like it's wanting to give us a move down. Will it end up being a bullish reset, come down, turn back over, and then get us back up, or will this drag us below this trend line, which we're sat at now anyway, under resistance as well, and drag us down to the low 13Ks. 10 hour, let's have a look at the other one, see if they're giving us a hand. Yeah, I mean, 10 hour looking to turn back down now here as well. 12 hour looks good though. Look at this for a trend line in the 12 hour stochastics, guys. I mean, you don't get much better than that. So yeah, we've been caught by that. So I mean, realistically, 12 hours suggesting we can get a bit of a move up, but I would be looking for that move to be the final move up before we then come back down, smash into this trend line somewhere potentially around here, lose that trend line, and then come back down to at least around 13k. That would be my crystal ball prediction for that. Daily as well, looking like it's going to start weighing in on price action. 2-day also going to look like it's going to start weighing in on price action. I mean, 3-day, this is a slow mover, but you can see it's clearly not as straight up as it was before. 5-day looks good and weekday looks good though. Obviously they're larger term time frames. I mean, you can just look at the chart and see that that weekly looks good. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily expect this to turn around on a dime and start coming back down again. But yeah, I mean, just the shorter time frames though. The shorter time frames, I mean, just based on what the short, medium, and long-term time frames are telling us, for me, it's telling us short term, one little last push up into this zone, medium term back down to 13k, and longer term tells me from 13k back up. What an absolutely ridiculous specific prediction, but yeah, that's what I see. Obviously, the best laid plans and all that is not necessarily, nothing ever really plays out how you fully expect. But if I had to pick a scenario, that would be the scenario. But yeah, we'll just have to see what next week brings. I mean, whilst I say we get driven by stock markets and the dollar, we have been doing well in the face of this move up in the dollar. And so I mean for that kind of tells me that it tells me one of two things: either we're decoupling, or that basically this move in the dollar is going to get faded and people aren't particularly convinced the dollar is going to start going up. Which I think probably is the case, because the country that has the most, I know people say currencies are a relative trade, and that's because they are a relative trade, so that is correct. But also it's currencies aren't relative in the respect that the dollar is the only world reserve currency. So as they are the world reserve currency, they are able to do lots of crazy things that other countries can't do. Like in the UK, we were getting stimulus checks and enhanced benefits of like an extra $600 a week. It's a lot of money, that is. We weren't getting that, but obviously America can do that. So America has got the potential and the ways and the means, obviously, political hurdles aside, to print a lot more than other countries would dare do. So the dollar does have the ability to underperform strength-wise, as in basically go down against other currencies, even though it is a relative trade and we're all in the same boat. And then let's have a look at stocks as well. Let's look at how the S&P closed, just so we have a look, just so we can see how dangerous this is looking, guys. I mean, just we are on the precipice of another, basically, well, what will be labelled a stock market crash. I mean, realistically, down to around this 618 here, down to this level here, I would suggest is a reasonable target. And then obviously we'll have to assess things once we get there. But the thing is, we could get there pretty quick. And I mean, the ferocity of the move is what is going to probably shock people as much as the actual amount of the move as well. But yeah, I mean, they realistically well, realistically they needed to hold this level, and if not, this was the final stand, because basically getting down to here just looks like we're going to lose this. I mean, I don't particularly believe in double bottoms. Basically you sell new lows and you buy new highs, and this is basically going to be a new low relative to here, and that should be sold, and that's why they believe in double bottoms, because I think this will just keep coming down. So like I said, I will not be the only person of that opinion. The PPT plunge protection team will be looking at that same exact thing and thinking, right, we've just got to basically prop up this market. And yeah, I mean, maybe now is the time they will start buying stocks. Now the time they might officially start buying stocks. Who knows, guys? But yeah, obviously Europe shutting down. It's dragging. It is dragging on everything, guys. So yeah, difficult. A very difficult trading week. Oh, not to mention there's that. What's that? This is something going on in America as well. Oh, the elections. Yeah. Not to mention the stuff that will go on regarding that. I mean, My bias is that civil unrest will be weak for the dollar. That is my bias. But there will always be a risk off, which will be a flight to the dollar with that civil unrest. So I mean, it is a tug of war of opposing factors when it comes to the dollar. I mean, that is the best way of explaining it. There are. I mean, to be honest though, that is a pretty basic statement, because it's a tug of war of any price of anything. There are there are upward drivers and there are downward drivers, but I mean, obviously there are big upwards and big downward drivers in the dollar. Yeah, there is a big tug of war going on at the moment. As you can see, I mean, this is like a tug of war, isn't it? Like pull down, push up, push up, pull down. I mean, this is what we kind of mean. There are big opposing forces, and when you have large opposing forces, you only need a relatively small percentage basically advantage for one of those larger forces for that to translate to a larger move in the price, if you guys understand what I'm saying. Because obviously that if there are large forces, that small difference percentage wise is actually going to be a large amount of force. So because there are such large forces acting on the dollar, we can get some serious whipsaw action as those relative forces increase or decrease in strength, obviously relative to each other. So yeah, I mean, yeah, all eyes on the dollar realistically, but like I said, at the moment Bitcoin is not looking too bad. But again, like I said, if you look at this chart, it's not looking fully like we're going to start going back up yet. If we look at it in the context from this move down to here, I mean, we do still look on this larger time frame like a macro bear flag, and it's going to break down. This is not necessarily looking like a bottom. This is kind of looking like a bear flag. So I believe that is what the market participants will be looking at this as. Yeah, so I mean, if we start to carry on moving up, obviously take out this high, and then I mean, clearly if we take out this high, then this level here, then I think that will be it. That will be an absolute disaster for markets. So yeah, interesting times, and yeah, I mean, there's always the outside chance. I would say it's an outside chance that in the face of some absolute stock market and dollar shenanigans, Bitcoin could still go up. I think that is an outside chance. So anyway, that is it, guys. Remember, this is not a financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Obviously, with the gyms being closed, I'm gonna have well, a bit more time every day to do more videos. So I'm gonna start doing some more videos on individual coins that I'm looking at, individual things that DeFi stuff and yield farming stuff, and some other protocols that we've seen, other things that are interesting that I'm maybe not invested in but looking at. Just some extra videos, guys, basically, because I'll have to find something to do with my time, and I kind of want to do some of that extra content, but obviously it is finding the time, and it appears I'm going to have some extra time going forwards for a month or potentially more. You know how it is. Just, yeah, break them in with 4 weeks and then we'll give them 8, 12, forever. But anyway, so that is it, guys. Remember, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I will speak to you guys this evening.